Hello everyone and welcome back to GPVWC and the 2024 Superleague Championship. This is round 11 and we are at the classic Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps for a 44 lap race around this 7 kilometer long circuit. This is an absolute icon of any Grand Prix calendar and we are so glad to be here, joined of course by Owen Harmon. Owen, thank you very much for stepping in. I know we're normally joined by Ryan Elliott, but Ryan could not be here today. And Owen, you only knew about 5 minutes ago that you were actually doing this. So, like I said, thank you for stepping in. How are you feeling about it?
I'm actually really happy to be here, Kate, to be honest. The football that had been keeping me away from FS1 the last month has actually been put on the show early, so I was able to balance both, and we won. So, yeah, it's having a great time, and yeah, thanks to everyone who also put themselves forward to replace Ryan. But I won the ballot, and so I'm absolutely buzzing.
Long or short straw, depending on which way you see it, because this is going to be quite a chaotic one. Spa does tend to be. We're also joined, of course, on cameras by Remco de Zeeuw. We would not be able to bring you a broadcast without our cameramen, and I was going to say cameramen and women, but I don't think we have any camera women, do we? So we're bringing this to you with the help of good old Remco here. And we're starting off with qualifying. So this is a 15-minute session. We're 1 minute in, meaning no one has yet started their flying laps. We do have live timing, so we'll be able to keep you updated on how it's going as it happens. And we'll be able to watch each sector time as well. So we'll be able to tell you exactly where on track each individual car and driver is faster and where they are struggling. In terms of the cars as well, if you haven't watched GPVWC Super League before, the thing that sets us apart from other sim racing championships is that the teams can develop their own cars throughout the season. So they all start off completely identical. They develop throughout the year depending on where the teams put their points in terms of research and development. There are also different engine designs. So for example, if you have a Vulcan engine, they've put a lot of points into mapping and pretty much no points into to anything else. If you have a Reventon or Quasar engine, it'll be quite light, but they don't necessarily have as much thought put into the mapping. And if you have a Viper, you'll be the most powerful engine out there. The teams also have a choice of different engine, like individual engine components that they've used throughout the year. Pretty much everyone has elected to take a brand new engine for this race, simply because Spa is a power circuit where you need all of that torque and acceleration. And the only team that is using reusable engines for this round is TOP Esports, which is elected to use a 1 race old engine for both of their cars. So with all of that boring stuff out of the way, let's get into the qualifying session, because as you can see, Adam Maguire is on his first flying lap, as are pretty much all of the other cars out there. And the fastest first sector that I can see so far, Owen, is from Owen McGorgy.
Yeah, my fellowship of the Owen Union. It's good to see him again. Of course, the battle to get to pole position. When I was subbing in for Academy on Monday, the drivers had to deal with 2-minute lap times or thereabouts. Not such a problem here in Super League, but nevertheless, the odds of you getting more than 5 great qualifying laps in are a lot more reduced here due to the length of Spa-Francorchamps. And there we go. We can see Janssen Bintz has set the very first time. Mark Schluter follows up with the quickest at 141.5.
Schluter at the top currently. We mentioned Owen McGorgy a minute ago. It's worth noting that he is a returning driver to the series. He has been away since just the 3rd round of this championship, focusing mainly on his Formula Sim racing efforts. He did very well in that championship, but unfortunately, focusing on that meant that he wasn't able to continue his attempt at the GPVWC Super League crown, and I think he would have been a championship contender had he not stepped away from it. So, welcome back to Owen McGorgy. We knew that he would return at some point. He always said he would, and Spa was always a top contender for a race where we would see him back. So Owen is out there in the TOP esports car. He's returned to the track. Meanwhile, his rivals are still setting lap times. P1 is Jan Grangfist, now a championship leader with a 1:41.262. That's just under 0.2 of a second faster than Carlos Martin, with Matthias Moos currently in 3rd position. Still well over 10 minutes to go in this session though, and it's the last couple of minutes that really matter, really makes the difference, and so that will be when we're most likely to see the fastest times being set. Owen, who else do you think should be a contender that we haven't really spoken about yet? Someone maybe not necessarily close to the top of the times.
Perhaps in the midfield, I know Thomas Harvey quite well from his time up and down the pyramid. Of course, my national compatriot Adam Maguire. You can never rule him out, of course, in the THR. And I suppose Vincent Gutt there down in 23rd. Hopefully we can get him towards the top of the list. That'll be very interesting to see. But of course, yeah, the usual name definitely popping in strong times already.
Yeah, we do have some non-regulars to this series. So Jarl Tyne is making just his 5th start of the year, although he is, of course, a classic GPVWC regular who has raced many times before. Dylan Fisher now coming into the pits. Of course, you do have to make it back to the pit lane before exiting out onto the track again. You can't just teleport back to the pits as you would be able to in R-Factor 2. Loic Mounier out there, he has not made that many starts in GPVWC Super League. This will be just his 3rd start of the year, although he's following on from a 4th place finish at the Austrian Grand Prix, a very impressive 4th place finish, and I think Loic could be a real dark horse today, despite not being particularly familiar with that Edge Esports car. In fact, there are 2 non-regular drivers racing for Edge Esports today, because Sandeep Singh is in the other car, and I've just realised that means I don't think we have Mark. Sorry, no, I got confused. We do have Mark Schlichter. Sorry, panic over. Sandeep Singh, I am used to thinking of as an Edge racing driver because he has raced for Edge in the past. He is out there for Epic Racing Team today. This is, I believe, Sandeep's first race of the season in Super League. Not his first race of all time, but his first race of the season. And the second seat at Epic has been a little bit of a revolving door, so it's not a huge surprise to see another unexpected driver in that car. And there he is, actually, just out on circuit in 8th position as it stands. So still Grangfist at the top, followed by Martin and Moose. We've seen a couple of drivers ducking into the pit lane to set up for another run. Still 2 cars missing, but that is okay because we were expecting that. There is also a research and development test going on, which is yet to conclude. And we very much hope and expect that as soon as that does conclude, as soon as the drivers have done enough laps for the maximum research and development points, they will rejoin the server, hopefully before the end of qualifying. One of the Holland Racing Team cars appears to be a contender for that. I'm not sure of the other missing car just yet, but we will keep an eye on that as it goes along. Owen, looks like Owen McGorgy is yet to set a flying lap, but he's about to set a pretty competitive one, I'd say.
Absolutely, yeah, he's on course, just waiting to get through the bus stop chicane. Here he is in the TOP, and it's got to be 1:41.7, yes. It's actually perhaps off where he wanted to be. 13th, yeah, I'm sure he knew in his heart of hearts that he can improve on that, and he's going to set about working away on that. And we now have Stepkowski. Oh, I couldn't even finish the sentence. He's gone wide. Yep. No name corner.
There's a problem there for Stepkowski. He snaps back into action, continues on with his qualifying lap, and you can see that is a bit of a waste for him because the purple sector time you see on your timing screen means that he was faster than the leader's time in the first sector. Of course, if it is a purple sector time on the timing screen as well, the live timing that you can find at raceview.com, that is race-view.com. If it is purple there as well, then it's the fastest of everyone. It shows up slightly differently on the server. You can also get purple sectors that just means you're faster than the leader's time. But yeah, that is a wasted opportunity, unfortunately, for Daniel Stepkowski. Much Schluter here in the final sector of his qualifying lap comes into the pit lane to set up for one final flying run. Might just about get time for 2 more runs, but to be honest, this is a long lap here at Spa-Francorchamps, so he would be pushed for time if he tried to. And we'll head back out onto track pretty quickly now. And across the line goes Tom Stevens to start a flying lap. This is a good opportunity, actually, because, well, he's just completed a lap, actually, so it might not be another attempt, but he will be able to show us around the lap. Here's the classic Eau Rouge Raidillon complex, the most famous corner of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit and the most dangerous corner of the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, which shoots him down the Kemmel Straight now. They reach up to 210 miles per hour by the end of this. It's insane speed, and then you brake heavily into the chicane. That was the first sector completed there, and that was where Owen McGorgy was at his most competitive, which is interesting because it's a very point and squirt sector. You don't have many fast corners. It's nothing to do with downforce whatsoever. It's just a heavy braking zone at La Source, followed by a fast run up through Eau Rouge Raidillon and down the straight. So I would suggest that Owen McGorky's car is set up for straight line speed, and then he struggled in the final 2 sectors of the lap, which is why the fastest first sector time was only translated into the 13th fastest lap overall. Tom Stevens, though, I think is probably heading back to the pits with this one by the look of it. You can see he's down in the first 2 sectors. And as well as that, it would make sense timing-wise, because then he would be able to set himself up for one final flying run, which would take him to the end of the elapsed time in the session.
And I now see Alex Lahou. He will be able to set a time just in time here, Caitlin. So if he can get onto the track, of course. So yeah, he should be able to just emerge from pit lane, and he'll get one qualifying lap. In all honesty, it's about 2 minutes to prep, and then 1 minute 40 something should be the target. So yeah, just in the nick of time we have Alex Lahou.
Yeah, thanks as always to Death and Rootring for updating me on what's going on within the Holland Racing Team camp. He let me know that Alex was doing the R&D test before this, which is why he was absent. His aim was just to get in before the end of the session so he could set a qualifying time. That is what he has managed to do. That means, of course, that we only have one car missing from the server, and I've just been to check, and it is the second Pescara ADG car that is not yet online. The other Pescara ADG car is being driven by Thomas Harvey in just his second start of the season, so welcome to Thomas Harvey. Other than Thomas, we don't know who is supposed to be in the second Pescara ADG car, but we do hope that we can get him in before the start of this race, because then we would have a full house, which is always something to be celebrated. Here's Mark Schluter, the Edge Esports team, in a slightly unusual livery there. That's definitely a special livery they're using. I think they were using... There was definitely a team that used a similar livery to celebrate the German Grand Prix last time out. I don't think it was Edge Esports though, so Edge taking a special livery to celebrate the Belgium Grand Prix. Mark Schluter, decently quick, first and second sector. He is second in the championship, of course, although a long way behind our championship leader Jan Grangfist, who has rather dominated proceedings as of late. Into the bus stop he goes, and into the pits, and I don't believe that he will get time to set up for a final flying run. No, he probably won't. He can escape to the pits there because he's crossed the timing line, but even though the first corner allows you to cut a big chunk of time out of your lap, allowing you to cut the first corner, I don't expect he will have time to get back out there. Meanwhile, Matthias Moos is on a quick one. That's very... Wow, rotates it into the first of the 2. Bus stop. Yeah, well, backs out of it. He knows that that's it, and he won't be able to go onto another lap. He rather spoilt that one, I'm afraid to say, and that will be the end of the session for Matthias Moos, with over a minute still to go on the times. And this is unfortunate for the likes of Moos and Mark Schluter. Although Schluter has gone back out onto the track, so he is pushing for it. He'll have to set pretty much the fastest lap of the session just to get around to start another lap here. But it's unfortunate for them, because this time is where the track is at its most rubbered in. It's where they're likely to be at their fastest, and the fact that he is not improving on his time is, well, he's going to be going rather sideways here, which in racing means backwards. But anyway, Owen, here's Sandeep Singh. He's been very impressive in the session so far. Can he get himself onto the front 2 rows of the grid here?
I'll be watching to see when he sets his first sector time down the Kemmel Straight to see if he can get onto the first 2 rows. So far, he's down by a tenth and a half to his own personal best. Just mindful of that gravel trap, of course. Now down the hill, Brussels, making absolutely sure he nails that apex and gets right back into position now. No name corner, absolutely spot on there. Let's see if it carries on through Buon.
Owen, sorry.
Go ahead.
I must interrupt. I really don't like when people call that no-name corner.
I know, I prefer Speaker's Corner, but then there'll be people saying Speaker's Corner isn't right, so it's kind of like I have to pick one or the other.
You see, Speaker's Corner is a name. No Name is technically a name in itself, and its official name is the Jackie X Corner, so never mind. But anyway, unfortunately, back on topic, I'm afraid to say Sandeep Singh has had a big twitch in Puant, and I think his lap has been pretty spoilt after that, so I don't believe that he will get himself onto the front 2 rows of the grid. With that being said, though, there are still drivers on laps. Magorgi still purple in the first sector, fastest of anyone. Grankvist is improving in the second sector. He could go faster still and possibly put this lap time completely out of reach of any of the other cars. Stevens and Martin are a tenth of a second. Well, Stevens is a tenth of a second down on Grankvist in the first sector. Martin is about the same as Grankvist in the first sector. Magorgi was 2/10 faster, but can he hold that in the second 2 sectors? That's going to be a difficult task. Grankvist crosses the line, does improve, 141.208. It's still not unbeatable. This is still a potential for the likes of Carlos Martin. Look at this. Here he comes into the bus stop. He's got to find 2 and a bit tenths of a second. Out of the final corner he comes, up to the line. Does he do it? He goes second. He goes onto the front row of the grid, just half a tenth of a second behind. Was that Stepkovsky improving? He goes 7th. Adam Maguire goes 3rd. Adam Maguire goes 3rd, so it's a THR second row of the grid so far. Where is Owen Magorgi? He comes to the line. Second place. Owen Magorgi misses out on pole position by just 0.02 of a second. Donuts it up to La Source in, I don't know if it's that celebration or frustration. It's one of the two. But anyway, back to the pits he goes, along with Mark Schluter, who appears to have lost his front wing, so clearly pushing too hard on that outlap to get another time in, and will not be able to. Schluter will start from 10th place at best, and that could be the end of the qualifying session. I'm just looking to see if anyone else is on a lap. Potentially, well, Daniel Stepkovsky is still being shown as on track, but I don't know why he hasn't triggered the second sector beam yet. I'm sure that he's far enough around the lap to have done so. Yeah. And yes, it looks as if that is the end of the qualifying session. So Jan Grankvist takes pole position by just 0.02 of a second ahead of the TOP esports drivers Owen Magorgi and Carlos Martin, who are 2nd and 3rd. THR are following in close attendance with Adam Maguire 4th and Tom Stevens 5th. Then it's Matthias Moos, Sandeep Singh, Daniel Stepkovsky, Janos Brachok and Mark Schluter, the top 10. And at a track like Spa-Francorchamps, it's impressive that the top 10 can be separated by 3.5 of a second. Pansar, Lalu, Tyan, Lahu, Zeeuw, Poom, Williams, Mounier, Gut and Wach will follow them up. Is there no Philip Pushke today? I don't think I've seen him. Oh, he is 22nd. Okay, so Dylan Fisher is 21st, Philip Pushke 22nd, Moritz Kropp 23rd, then it's Thomas Harvey, Stein Handgraf, Fabian Ballet, Janssen Bintz, Istvan Singel and Jeffrey Fournier. Fournier unfortunately not able to set a lap time for whatever reason, and neither was Eros Masciuli, who has taken the 2nd Pescara ADG car, but the important thing is that he's on the server, meaning we have a full house of all 30 cars. Yes, that's right. If any of you are watching GPVWC for the first time, we have 15 teams, 30 cars. That's 10 more than you get in the real world of Grand Prix racing. It is a jam-packed grid here at Spa-Francorchamps, and a grid that I expect will probably snake around the final corner when they line up for the starting lights. But yes, impressive to see 25 cars separated by a second, Owen, even at a track as long as Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, the quality on show in Super League has been really, really impressive. Whether I look away or I'm now back in the saddle for commentary duty, yeah, it's just unbelievable how closely compacted the grid is in Super League. It is really, really something to behold. And of course, the warm-up session, lots of tweaking work to be done. Everyone really does need this track time to figure out what their strategies may be.
Now, one thing I'm thinking of, Owen, is if TOP Esports are quick enough to put their cars second and third on the grid, miss out on pole position by less than a tenth of a second, and be the fastest cars in the first sector, which is the sector which requires the most power, of course, then, as I choke on my own words, then why have they gone for second-hand engines? Remember, they are the only team on the grid who have gone for second-hand engines for this race. Is that just extreme confidence that they are fast enough to hold everyone off despite the second-hand engines? Or did they expect this to be a bit of a damage limitation race, potentially? How have they managed to achieve what they've achieved with the oldest engines on show?
Yeah, that is a really, really good question, Caitlin. I suppose if you look at the calendar itself, after the summer break, it's going to be Monza and then Baku back-to-back. So that's when you really want your straight line speed. Maybe they thought Spa would be a bit of a compromise track. Maybe if they give up that straight line speed down the Camel and up to Eau Rouge, then they could claw it back later in the lap. But in all honesty, they must have something in their setup that means that they can risk having second-hand engines.
Indeed, well, I would like to hear confirmation of that rationale from TOP Esports. I'm sure if we speak to them in the interviews after the race, then they will explain that to us. Or maybe they won't, who knows. But anyway, it will be important, or it will be exciting to keep an eye on how that particular team does and those particular drivers. Two extremely talented, extremely competitive drivers. Owen McGorky, of course, one of the hot shots coming through in recent years. Still only about 18, 19 years old. I'm not sure exactly when he was born, but a young challenger who is up there and thereabouts pretty much every time he races, who won, of course, the Australian Grand Prix back at the start of the season, the very first race of the year, which was also TOP Esports' first race in GPVWC Super League. And he is paired up, of course, with the much more experienced and equally talented Carlos Martin, who has done competitive karting in reality in the past, who was the bane of everyone's existence at GPVWC Day karting last year, absolutely rocked that. And a significantly older driver as well, but still has all of his wits about him, and still just as savvy when it comes to sim racing. And then, of course, you have a very similar situation with Tom Stevens and Adam Maguire behind. Stevens, the hotshot rookie, Maguire, the experienced campaigner, the champion of the 2020 Super League season. And you've got to say that that's a formula that's been working for them, although TOP Esports have had to cycle through a few drivers after Owen McGorky decided to jump ship at the start of the season. They will be very glad to have him back, won't they?
Yeah, without a doubt. The main thing is just keep pushing on and see what happens. A bit of debris there in the background as we watch Martin complete his first proper lap in the warm-up session. The job really will be to see what these tyres can do, whether it be the softs or perhaps the mediums or hards could be on show later on. A few balance down the back, of course, but you can see the balance there, a few mediums, few hards, but certainly the drivers qualifying the top 15 have to use the tyre they qualified on. Isn't that still the case?
It is still the case. So that's mandatory. The top 15 drivers from qualifying start on the set of tyres, the compound of tyres at least, that they qualified on. So in the case of all of these drivers, those will be soft tyres. The drivers you see out there on medium and hard tyres right now will be drivers who qualified outside of the top 15, who will be starting the race on their respective tyres, or at least gauging whether they should start the race on their respective tyres, and they will come to a conclusion about that fairly quickly, I'm sure. Owen, do we know what the kind of ideal strategies would be for this round? I'm afraid I wasn't able to see Superlight, so I wasn't able to see how they managed it on that occasion, but are we looking for 1 stops, 2 stops?
The length of the pit lane certainly would favour the two-stop, certainly looking in the past results from last year, you'd want to probably get the two-stop in a soft, medium soft, or anything in that range. Maybe one or two drivers risk to 3, like Tom Stevens, who got P3, and Adam Maguire, who got 5th. So yeah, maybe he'll look back at last year's performance and think I could pull out the super quick 3-stopper. Yeah, it definitely does help that the pit lane, it does rejoin on the exit of last source, so it doesn't take up that much time. So yeah, I would say a 2-stopper would be preferable.
Good Lord, I tell you what, I've just checked the YouTube chat, and I had no idea that we'd had so many people into the already dropping in. Hello to fellow GPWC drivers, Reuven Machete, Toby Davis, Shimon Frelick. Plenty of recognisable names here. Toby Davis, of course, cheering on his own team, Nocturne, and their sister team, THR. Jake Denahan here as well, says easy for Owen. Interesting. So we've got some support for Jake's friend and rival, Owen McGorky, in the chat. Jake, of course, the reigning GPWC...
Alex! Oh, dear. He's caused himself all kinds of mayhem. I beg your pardon there, Caitlin. So he was trying to practice some racing through Lecom and got it all wrong.
I've just switched back to the correct screen to see that, and wasn't able to see exactly what happened, but his car is rather in pieces. But yeah, Ed Hunter says Superlights was a wet, dry, wet race, so not a lot of relevant dry running, and that of course means that not a lot of relevant strategy came out of it. So still plenty to see from that point of view. Usually I get a message from someone like Carlos Martin or Jakub Lalu letting me know what kind of strategies we're expecting, but it seems they're keeping their cards close to their chest for this one, because I haven't received such a message, but that's okay. We'll figure it out as we go along. More people in the YouTube chat. Alex Maggio here as well, jolly good. Yeah, welcome in Jake Danahan, as I was saying. Ed Hunter just mentioned Jake because apparently he is the same age as Owen, just 19 years old. Jake, do you know... Sorry, I never checked this last year, I really should have done. Do you know if you were the youngest Super League champion of all time? I think you might have been, you know. I don't know if there's any way of checking it, because stats are quite hazy when it comes to back in the day. You know, we're not exactly up to date with some of the earlier champions or anything like that. But there is a genuine chance that Jake Denahan last year was the youngest Super League champion up to this point. He is certainly, to my knowledge. But anyway, I'm sure there are plenty more where that came from, with plenty more young guns coming up through the ranks. Talking of championships, let's update you on some of the drivers to look out for in the format of the drivers and teams championship standings. Let's start with the drivers. Jan Granqvist, of course, leads the championship by a whole 70 points, and with 6 races to go, that means he is closing in on mathematical supremacy here. Jan Granqvist can wrap it up with several rounds to go, depending on how the next few races go. He can't wrap it up today, but he can get very jolly close. He has won 5 of the 10 races so far this season, so a 50-50 success rate, and 4 of his other finishes have been podium finishes as well. So Jan has been pretty hard to topple this year. His only blip was at the Canadian Grand Prix, when the whole Super Venturi team really struggled for pace somehow. Mark Schluter is second in the championship. He has 2 victories to his name at the San Marino and Austrian Grand Prix. He was second last time out in Germany, when Jan Granqvist, of course, won the race with a Grand Slam. Tom Stevens is third in the championship. He had a terrible race last time out in Germany, I'm afraid to say. Adam Maguire is 4th in the championship. He was 3rd in Germany last time out, his 4th podium of the season, as I continue to hiccup. Robin Panzer is 5th in the championship. The top driver, well, I was going to say the top driver yet to win a race, but actually Maguire hasn't won a race yet, has he? Anyway, Robin Panzer in 5th place with the best result of 2nd. Carlos Martin, 6th place in the championship. He won the Canadian Grand Prix. Matthias Moos, 7th place in the championship. Top driver yet to score a podium. Matthew Williams is 8th in the championship with 1 podium to his name. Jukka-Pekka Laulu 9th in the championship, yet to score a podium. Janos Bracok 10th in the championship, also yet to take his first podium finish of the year. The only other winner so far this season has of course been Owen McGorgy, who is 13th in the championship, having won the Australian Grand Prix and then disappeared for several rounds. In terms of the team's championship, Super Venturi still leads that by 39 points over THR. TOP Esports are in 3rd place, a little way back from THR. Edge Esports are 4th in that particular championship, and Adonis Engineering are in 5th place, just 6 points behind Edge. And with Edge fielding an unfamiliar driver today, with Sandeep Singh standing in, having not made any of the other races this year. There is potentially a chance for other teams to capitalise on that. So those are the drivers' standings. And Owen, one thing that's been really interesting me the last few rounds is the battle for second in the championship, because Schluter had a bad round, allowing Stevens to take second. That was at the British Grand Prix, and then last time out, Stevens had a bad round, allowing Schluter to take it back again. So, do you think Stevens will think, well, what was all that for? Let's go take it back again, or is Mark Schluter on a maybe the start of an upturn in form?
Yeah, certainly an interesting question, but certainly in Tom's case, he's got a strong history around Spa with a 7th in 2022 and the podium for THR last season. So he's definitely within a shout if he can keep up that form. So yeah, it certainly is possible to get it out of the system. The unfortunate result back in Hockenheim, that was just an unfortunate one to get only a couple of points, or 5 points for 11th to be exact. So yeah, it's a track that he enjoys. It can definitely bring him straight back in the hunt against Mark. So yeah, really excited to see how that goes as well.
Indeed. I'm just checking if we have any former winners of this race on the track. We do, because Robin Pansar took his very first Grand Prix win here last year. Jarl Tyen won it in 2018, he is on this year's grid, and Philip Pischke has won it twice, in 2015 and 2016. So we do actually have 3 former winners of this Grand Prix on the grid. This is a race that has been held every year in GPVWC Super League except for 2001, although 2001 was a bit of a one-off year, since there were only 3 Grand Prix that season. But yes, other than that, it has been held every single year. And Pansar, Tyen, and who was the other one? Pansar, Tyen, and Pushke are the 3 drivers who have experienced the success of the top step of the podium here at the Belgian Grand Prix in the past. We have now finished the warm-up session. So we're waiting for the start of the formation lap. The drivers have 1 minute to get themselves onto the track. When that 1 minute is elapsed, the formation lap starts, whether you are ready or not. It starts now. Jan Grankvist only just got himself out in time, didn't he? Left it to the absolute last minute. Maybe just not wanting to waste any tyre life, or tyre heat rather, or anything like that. And here we see the grid order. I was wondering, Remco, do you have the usual starting grid graphic? I think that's probably coming up now. And here we go. So Jan Grankvist is starting from pole position, the championship leader, set to attempt his 3rd victory in a row. Owen McGorky is 2nd, competing for the first time since Japan. 3rd is Carlos Martin, 4th is Adam Maguire, then it is Tom Stevens, Matthias Moos, Sandeep Singh and Daniel Stepkowski. 5th tile shows us Janos Bracok, Mark Schluter, last year's winner Robin Pansar, only 11th on the grid, and then Jukka-Pekka Laulu in the 2nd Super Venturi. Then we move down to Jarl Tyen, another former winner, and Alex Lahoe, Zolt Schukes and Hygo Poom. The top 15 drivers will score points at the end of this one, so look for that battle for P15. Matthew Williams is 17th, Loic Mounier is 18th, Vincent Gutt is 19th, and then Tomasz Vok, P20. He, unfortunately, not on a great turn of form recently, and has been rather overtaken by his teammate Stopkowski. Dylan Fisher is 21st, he had a great race last time out. Philip Pushke, 22nd, the former champion. Moritz Kropp is 23rd, 24th, we just missed, but it's Thomas Harvey. Then it's Stein Handgraf, Fabian Bally, Janssen Bintz and Istvan Xingel. And the final 2 slots on the grid will be taken up by the drivers who did not set qualifying laps, Eros Masciuli and Jeffrey Fournier. So those are our 30 drivers who are set to do battle around this 44 lap race of this 7-kilometer long circuit. 7.004 kilometers. It's technically 4 meters too long according to the FIA circuit regulations, but they allow it to stand because well, squeezing Spa-Francorchamps into 7 kilometers is not easy, and you don't exactly want to neuter such a classic circuit on the calendar. So I think rightfully so they've allowed it to stand. Oh, and we're heading up now through Blanchimont towards the start of the race. The tension is rising. How are you feeling about this one, and what are you looking for at the start?
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this one now. Spa, as you said before, Caitlin, it is an absolute stalwart of the GPVWC calendar, and it produced, I think, an unbelievable race last season. It came down to the wire, so we'll hope for a bit more of that. But of course, yeah, the job with the DRS is that you've got to get up the Camel Straight quickly. Grankvist, despite having Paul, will have to work very hard, as a lot of the drivers coming up to Eau Rouge are going to attack as hard as they can. So keep it safe in turn 1, everybody. Let's have fun.
And indeed, and remember, the fastest car through that section in qualifying was the TOP Esports car of Owen McGorgy. So watch for the 2 white-coloured cars on the first and second row of the grid when these lights go out, heading down the Camel Straight for the first time. It's a short run to turn 1, but it makes up for that by being flat out all the way from turn 1 to Le Combe at the end of the Camel Straight. There's plenty of opportunity for slipstreaming. DRS will be available from lap 3. And we are just waiting for those 5 red lights at the front of the grid. Here they go! And when the 5 red lights extinguish, we will be underway for 44 laps of Spa-Francorchamps, as we are now! Away they go towards the first corner. We've got McGorgy challenging on the outside already, but he'd do well to slot in behind and slipstream up the straight. Hopefully everyone gets through cleanly. It's a tight first corner, and they do seem to have got through cleanly so far, but we can't see the back of the field. Oh, someone is off at the back, so someone has gone through the grass towards the back of the field. Now we reach the Camel Straight. This is where the slipstreaming can take place. McGorgy goes to the left-hand side, slipstreams his way up to Jan Grankvist's car, challenges for the lead of the race, and Grankvist breaks later. Grankvist maintains the lead into Le Combe, and it's Grankvist, McGorgy, Martin, Maguire and Stevens as we round the half-lap point. Green flags flashing all the way around the track. Matthias Moos is 6th, then it's Stepkovsky, Singh, Schluter and Bratchok. Robin Pansar, last year's winner, has dropped 1 place. Now we head around to Pour, one of the faster corners of the circuit. It's nearly flat out in these cars, very nearly flat out indeed. Maybe just a little lift, depending on how much turbulent air you get from the cars in front of you. And then through Stefania, and Piff Paff, and down towards Stavolo and Campus. I'm interested to see who went off at the back as well, and whether they got through without damage. It looks as if they might have done, because the driver in last place is only 11 seconds off the leader. That's a normal field spread for the first lap of the race, so nothing too dramatic. Here's a replay of the start. We might be able to catch a glimpse of it. Hygo Poom is in the mid-pack at this point, but will drop to the back, so presumably something happens to Poom there. There's a little touch, and he does get speared off to the left-hand side through the gravel, and it's a good save, actually, for Poom to rejoin the race and not lose too much time. I believe it was a little bit of contact with a Holland Racing Team car, potentially Alex Lahoe. Anyway, let's go... Well, we're watching Philip Pushke here, up through Eau Rouge Radiant. Cut the corner a little bit, hopefully didn't gain too much time from it. Let's go back to real time and see if anything is happening. Up to the Camel Straight we go, and it looks as if Grankvist has built out a bit of a gap, actually, 0.7 of a second. Of course, that would still be DRS range if DRS was available on this lap. Stepkovsky is going for a move up the inside of Matthias Moos, goes for 6th position. Not quite able to make that stick, has to back out of it, as Tyan, Lalu and Pansar do battle behind. So Owen, after the first lap of the race, it's actually even Stevens, the order staying exactly the same for the top 5 cars.
Exactly, yeah, it's brilliant to see Jan defending that pole position successfully, and maybe he has broken the 1 second barrier to avoid the DRS, so yeah, brilliant job to defend. in that first lap from Owen into the Combe to make sure there was no way through. It would have been very easy to perhaps say, right, I'm going to battle too hard or maybe concede the position, and nevertheless he's got the supreme belief in himself right now, and he kept himself in that position. But of course TOP want to be full-blown allies at the moment, make sure they work together for the team's championship, and that keeps THR at bay.
With yellow flag, we've had 2 DNFs from this race already. The first one to drop out was Istvang Singel. He left at the end of the first lap, possibly had damage. Obviously, we don't know for sure whether it was that or whether it was a disconnection or anything along those lines. But unfortunately, Istvang Singel is out of the race. And with Stax Racing yet to score a point this season, their hopes now rest purely on Zolt Schukes. The other retirement, unfortunately, is Fabian Bally in the Virtual Drivers by TX3 car, meaning we have 28 cars remaining rather than the 30 we started with. Not sure entirely what has happened to those two. We might be able to see as the race goes along, or it might have just been a pure disconnection. But whatever the case, the race continues, and from this lap onwards, Owen, DRS is enabled.
Precisely. So the potential for of course the DRS train, it should be most probable at the moment. Yeah, the drivers all pretty much line astern at the moment. Pretty much split into gaps of maybe 1 or 2 seconds, perhaps looking at Stevens to Moose. They're probably too far apart for DRS, but now we have a replay here. Fabian Bally for Virtual Drivers has gone the long way around. Has he pulled off the move? No, precisely the opposite. Oh, he's collided into the rear.
And that will be Istvang Singel, won't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it is.
Bally has run directly into the tail of Fabian Bally and has unfortunately taken them both out of the race. Moritz Kropp has now dropped to the back. Let's see what happened to him. Has a little touch with Sandeep Singh. Not Sandeep Singh, my apologies. He's not... I keep thinking Sandeep Singh's going to be racing for Edge Esports because he has done in the past, but no, that was one of the Edge Esports cars, so possibly Loic Mounier. Anyway, a 10th of the race done already. We're on to lap 4 out of 44, and Grankvist still leads from McGorky and Martin. Little twitch potentially from Martin coming out of La Source this time. Maguire approaching. We're on board now, heading through a frighteningly fast Eau Rouge Radion section. He definitely has a run. He'll get the DRS. Martin will have the benefit of the DRS from his teammate Magorgi. To the right-hand side goes Maguire, going for 3rd position and a podium place, and does now split the TOP Esport cars. That's important. The TOP Esports cars not quite able to work together as well as they were able to before. Martin will no longer have the advantage of DRS from his teammate Magorki. He will have to rely on fighting with Maguire, and that also gives Stevens an opportunity to fight with Martin as well. So an important move to be made there for Adam Maguire and Owen. The first really important move as far as the battle for the win is concerned.
Indeed, it is the first that has made a change to the top 5. And it is critical, of course, now that Magorgi, without his rear gunner, he'll have to think of an idea, because now, of course, Grankvist's lead is about 2 seconds on the interval, so he's already isolated in one way. And now the job is to avoid such a tricky move in the ordinary part of the track away from DRS. So, of course, at the bus stop, it is a common overtaking point if you can get side by side. Now through to lap 5 they'll go, meaning that Adam has his best chance so far of shot at 2nd place. So his first could be his best already. We'll see how Magorgi fares up Eau Rouge and Radion.
The bus stop chicane and La Source are potential overtaking opportunities, but the problem with that is that if you do make the move there, you are completely vulnerable heading through the DRS zones of the pit straight if you make the move at the bus stop, or this one here, the Kemmel straight, with Maguire now going to the right-hand side of Owen Magorgi's car. He is going through. Looks like Stevens is making a similar move on Martin. And at the same time, both THRs go past both TOPs. There was a almost beautiful symmetry to that one, and it's worked out completely in the favour of THR Esports, with Maguire now up into 2nd position ahead of Owen McGorky, and Stevens up to 4th ahead of Martin Owen.
Yeah, it's abbreviation wars here with THR and TOP, and THR have the upper hand right now, but of course the counter-attack is realistic unless Adam puts in a great lap on this tour. So let's see the sector lines compare. Certainly Tom with a purple sector 1, that DRS boost really helped him out in sector 1. We'll get the crossover for sector 2 in just a moment, and kicking up dust there, it's McGoggy. So he actually did gain in that sector, but he will lose 1 or 2 kilometers per hour through Blanchimont, and that will give Tom more encouragement to keep pushing.
Here we are going through Blanchimont. The car is getting a healthy dose of slipstream here, but of course you don't necessarily want to make a move in the bus stop for reasons that I have just explained. Another problem with that, of course, is you've got to make a move up the inside of one of the 2 corners, which will be the outside for the other one, so it's not an easy place to overtake. I saw a bit of a collision there in the Academy Series with 2 drivers racing for the win on the final lap, and that kind of thing can happen when you don't quite know what your opponent is attempting. But here we go, up through a Rouge Radiant for another time. We're watching Mark Schluter here on the back of Matthias Moos, DRS wide open. These cars also have push to pass, but unfortunately we're not able to tell when they're using it. And Schluter does go up the inside, and whether he uses push to pass or not, it's going to be a tough ask to make that move stick. And he does make it stick. So Mark Schluter does what is asked of him, and Matthias Moos is forced to settle with 7th position for the time being.
Yeah, so it's worth mentioning the special livery that you saw in practice, and now it's in race trim. Edge Esports are, of course, a Belgian team, so they are celebrating their home, and I think they've just won their home Grand Prix once back in 2018 with Jarl Tyen. So it's not a track that has treated them the best, but it is good to see them representing their national colours.
I believe Loic Mounier is technically the team principal now, so we do have a principal driver out there. Loic would have taken over that team at the start of this season. That is, if I remember that correctly. There is Loic running in 17th position as it stands, just 2 places away from the points paying positions. It's not 10 places like you see in the real world of Grand Prix racing. It is the top 15 who score points here. A little bit wide in the background, the car following. A bit of a move up ahead as well. I think I saw Thomas Vogt and Matthew Williams swap places on the timing screen. Swap places a couple of times actually, fighting over that final point. And Vogt actually has come into the pits as we speak. So one of the first pit stops taking place. Fairly early, but you do see relatively early pit stops here at Spa, simply because it's such a long circuit that lap 7 here is, lap 12 somewhere else. Is Sandeep Singh now slipstreaming Daniel Stepkovsky up towards Lecomte. And unfortunately, we've had problems for Moritz Kropp, who has become the 3rd retirement of the race. We saw him having a spin on the exit of Lecomte earlier in the race, and unfortunately he has now become the 3rd retirement. So we're down to 27 cars. We're about to see a replay. And is this what happened to Moritz Kropp? He's in the Bruxelles hairpin, heading down to... Oh, big twitch, doesn't even make it to Jackie Ick's corner.
Oh, no.
And slams the car into the barrier. And unfortunately, that's the 2nd time in 2 races that we've seen Moritz Kropp by the edge of the circuit with rear wheels missing from his wagon. So a rather messy time of it for Moritz Kropp, and hopefully he can get on top of that for the future races. But that's got to start eating away at your confidence, Owen, when you crash... Sorry, Owen, when you crash 2 races in a row and end up as a disgruntled spectator.
That's exactly...
And talking of spectators, Loic Mounier's just retired as well. My apologies, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's no problem at all, Caitlin. Yeah, the basic thing is all the prep time you put into this event after disappointment just 2 weeks ago. It makes it all the more difficult, but I suppose, yeah, the summer break is coming up, so you could probably go a couple of days, don't even look at the sim rig, just try and do something else with your time and maybe feel a bit more refreshed for preparation for Monza. So that may be a little bit of consolation with onboard.
This is a chance for Tom Stevens. So Stevens is going to the left-hand side of Owen McGorky. That will turn into the outside line, and he runs wide. He runs over the escape road. He will have to give that one up. So McGorky maintains his third position. McGorky, of course, and Stevens, of course, who came into contact last year with Jake Dinahan while fighting him for the championship. Owen McGorky is an equally feisty driver. Big twitch from Zolt Schukes and Dylan Fisher, fighting over 16th and 17th position, but McGorky maintains third position for now. It's also worth noting that Daniel Stepkowski just became the first driver from the top 10 to make a pit stop, so the first pit window is open now, and that will be at least a 2-stop strategy for Daniel Stepkowski. There is no way you can run to the end even on hard tyres from here. He's on the medium compound of tyre, and just like in the real world of Grand Prix racing, Owen, you have to use at least 2 different compounds of dry weather tyre.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to look back about 30 seconds on the stream, Lahu gained 2 positions there with his overtaking into Les Combes. It was absolutely masterful timing to gain 2 places there. So you have to give Alex that shout out for brilliant driving. And that's Loic Meunier. Oh, I think that's a bit of lag, I'm afraid.
That's a disconnection for Meunier, so that's why he retired. And that is why we have 26 drivers remaining. The last one was a bit of a race of attrition at Hockenheim, to the extent that we haven't seen that much of in recent memory. And Adam Maguire, for the first time since the first lap of the race, has got himself within half a second of Jan Granqvist. This is Maguire's chance now to take the lead of the race on lap 9. He goes to the right-hand side. He makes the move even before the corner. And behind him, Stevens has finally made it stick on Owen McGorgy. So the moves have been made. Maguire leads the race despite starting in only 4th position, and Tom Stevens is up to 3rd. THR, Owen, are on the move.
Yeah, this is outstanding from THR to have been 4th and 5th in qualifying. They've got their 2 cars on the podium on absolute speed here. Their opening to this race is absolutely amazing. So they've got to keep this up now, maintain the tyre life with Granqvist, I should say. Maybe he was just coasting a little bit too much or pushing too hard. Maybe Adam has just got that second burst in this strategy, and he's able to pull a second clear already. So THR loving life right now.
There is Jan Granqvist, who has just lost the lead of the race, but will know that that is not the end of the story. He's got to keep it still, keep it straight, and keep in contention. The pit windows are still to come. Do either of them dive in this time? Not quite. I'm afraid, Owen, I'm going to have to hand over to you so I can sneeze.
Yeah, we'll see. The timing tower has the position changes since qualifying. So Adam Maguire +3 and Tom Stevens, of course, +2. Disappointment, perhaps most of all, for Carlos Martin. He's down 3. Vincent Gutt up 6. That's really encouraging there. The driver representing virtual drivers by TX3. But now we're on board with Schluter. He has championship connotations to think about, and he puts the TOP of McGorgy down yet another position. So TOP's qualifying strategy is falling by the wayside right now. And yeah, that second-hand engine discussion we had a little bit earlier, that is quite something. It has not gone to their plans, but maybe Monza, it'll be worth the pain nevertheless. So Schluter, yeah, he knows this is a crucial race for his championship ambition. His to prevent jury rival Granqvist still 2 positions ahead of him, but on track he can definitely use Tom Stevens as his guide, just to follow through each corner and compare lap time. And there's Granqvist now. He's improving again in sector 1. Let's see for sector 2. No, he's lost all that hard work to Maguire.
Yeah.
And Stevens has cut 8 tenths just in that 2/3 of the lap alone.
Sorry about that, Owen. I sneezed so hard that I crashed my Discord. Anyway, we're watching Daniel Stepkowski seemingly approaching the first corner with no rear wing, and he didn't realise until he turned in. So something has happened there to Daniel Stepkowski, and we're going to see a replay of it. Here he is in Blanchemont. This is going to be a big incident, a very fast one. Contact! And around he goes after contact with a Pescara ADG car. Slams it into the barriers. And is that Eros Masciuli potentially? And that is a big shame for Daniel Stepkowski, who was in the top 10 before his pit stop. He missed the pit entry and he is out of the race. Big problems. And
we do need live pictures in pit lane, Caitlin. Sorry, Grankvist has pitted. Mugagi and Moose also in pit lane, so they're going to rejoin on the precipice of points. Grankvist P14 ahead of Fournier. Who started from the back of the grid with an engine penalty. So Fournier with his famous jingle. I'm sure someone in the chat knows it exactly. The man from France on a great run on his hard compound tyres, trying to get Epic Racing a point.
Absolutely, and we know he likes to overtake, so we've got plenty more time to watch Geoffrey Fournier do his thing. Jan Grankvist, P13 now, but that is not representative of his race at all. Although what is important is that he's got 3 cars between himself and Owen McGorgy, and that's 3 more cars that McGorgy's got to find his way through now. We're a quarter of the way through this race, if I can maths correctly, and we can quickly. When did Mark Schluter get past Carlos Martin? I don't think we saw that, did we?
That must have been when you were sneezing, Caitlin. It did happen on camera, I'm fairly sure. But maybe just that one lap or half a lap you were missing. So I'll have to review the footage. But yeah, I'm fairly sure that was just when you were absent. Oh, here's
and Adam Maguire comes into the pits from the lead of the race. Now, remember, he had only just passed Jan Grankvist before the pit stop window. We know it's going to be close. Meanwhile, also into the pits are Mark Schluter and Carlos Martin, and also Robin Pantar and Jocke Pegalali, so it's getting very busy down there. So he was only just ahead of Jan Grankvist. Where does he come out in relation to the Super Venturi car? The undercut is potentially powerful here, but the proof will be in the pudding. Out to the pits he goes. He will be behind Jan Grankvist. Look at that. Grankvist goes through, will retake the net lead of the race. And now we've just got to see what tyres they're on. So, was that the white-walled tyre heading through? I know that, so Maguire was clearly on mediums. And yes, Grankvist has gone hard. So a split strategy now between the two of them, as we nearly go 3 wide here with Thomas Harvey, Geoffrey Fournier and Adam Maguire. Maguire comes out on top, as he should, with the softer, newer tyres. But yes, Jan Grankvist here has decided to run longer on hard tyres, which will require Maguire to find a way past him if he reaches him on the road. Otherwise, he will be held up, he will lose time. I would say that this is putting Grankvist in even more of a strategic advantage than he had before. I would say that's a good call from Grankvist, but it depends on whether the likes of Tom Stevens can jump him using those soft tyres, whether they can squeeze the last of those soft tyres out and maybe come out in front. It is technically possible, depending on traffic and depending on how quickly Grankvist can get those hard tyres up to speed. We're on board with Mark Schluter now, Owen. And I would say that Schluter has been a bit of a gainer in this pit stop stage as well, because he is ahead of Owen McGorgy.
Yeah, he's going to go the long way around Blanchemont. Got to hold his nerve. He's around Harvey. And yeah, that's a clean pass. That's brilliant.
Really good move. The driver who ran wide in the background was Janssen Bintz. And now into the pits comes Stevens, Tyne and Singh. Stevens looked to run very long in his box there, but he's okay. And out towards the pit exit they go. Alex Lahou also in the pits. Now where does he slot in? Here comes the Horde. And is he behind? Well, he's side by side. Oh my goodness, nearly gets overtaken by Geoffrey Fournier. He is behind Grankvist and Maguire, but comes out just ahead of a massive pack of cars. We're trying to fit 4 cars into a space reserved for 2. This is going to be very close, heading up towards Le Corme. And through on the inside goes Owen McGorgy, who benefits from that, I'd say, more than any of the others did. They're still side by side on the exit, with Schluter losing out. So Stevens is ahead of Schluter now. McGorgy back ahead of Schluter. Schluter lost about 3 places in that, including to Fournier, who is not on the same strategy as him. And that is fascinating. So Janos Bratschock now leads this race, but in the net order it could be Grankvist, Maguire, McGorgy.
Right, sure, yeah. McGorgy was at the back of that for vehicle queue. Now he's at the top of it. So what Lahou did a bit earlier that earned my praise, McGorgy has just exceeded that yet again. So yeah, I'm loving this stuff into Lake Home. Absolute exceptional.
And of course, Bratschock and Williams, who are first and second, are still yet to make a pit stop and will have to. So, Jan Grankvist has the advantage, but by less than a second now from Maguire. So Maguire still charging after all of this. Tom Stevens now going for a move on Geoffrey Fournier, an important one strategically, up the inside into the bus stop. He cannot waste any time, no point waiting for the DRS, and he goes through. So Stevens now up to 6th. What can Schluter do about that? And what can Martin do about Schluter now that they've been bunched up together? And look at that, bit of a dive now from Jarl Tyen up the inside. Tyen gets through in La Source. That will leave everyone vulnerable up the straight, but to be honest, he won't lose too much of it because he will still get the DRS and still get a face full of slipstream. It's like using a windshield with the cars in front. DRS pretty much all around. We're going to go 3 wide yet again, nearly 4 wide, with Martin getting involved. Into the corner we go. Tyens through cleanly. It's still side by side between Martin and Fournier. They do get through Cleaner. And Fournier is able to avoid losing too much time in that, I'd say, but wow, that'll get the heart rate going 3 wide towards Lecombe.
Yeah, simply wonderful stuff once again. So these Super League cars are primed for this layout around Spa-Francorchamps, and it's delivering a barnstormer of a race thus far. Yellows in Sector 2, I hope that's not too serious for anybody. Yeah, it's gone away again. Yeah, but Maguire, who was leading before our pit stop cycles began, he will have to overtake Grankvist for position back again before they catch up to the Zortax of Matthew Williams, who's just in vision there. So he's going to provide a crucial obstacle for these drivers to overcome. Bratschock has pitted now for Adonis, so that will leave Williams with a decision to make. What can he possibly do against these top tier drivers?
Well, it's brought Grankvist and Maguire back together. Remember, different tyre strategies here, but 2 drivers occupying the same bit of road, both of whom deserve it just as much as each other and will be fighting for it just as much as each other. They're going to slipstream Williams down the straight. Williams stays to the left. They'll both go round him on the right with the DRS active, and they both get through. So Grankvist goes back to the lead of the race, but only just ahead of Adam Maguire. Williams will drop to 3rd. He'll drop even further back soon. I'm afraid to say that the yellow flag we saw recently was for Zult Schukes, and that means that Stax will travel to another race with no points on the board. They cannot get a break, and I'm afraid that for Stax it's time to pack up and go home. Here's Janssen Bintz side by side with Alex Lahou heading towards Lecombe. Bintz locks up, runs wide, does well to avoid the sausage curbs. Those can be pretty nasty out there. And here is Zult Schukes. So he's had a crash by himself. He's clearly facing backwards on the exit of Lecombe, and this will explain how he retired from the race, if we're able to see how he got into that situation, which unfortunately we weren't able to see, so our cameraman's going to have a look for that while we are racing. But we're watching the top 2 now. Jan Grankvist leading by 0.4 of a second from Adam Maguire after 15 laps of racing. They cross the start-finish line again. They're separated by 0.4 of a second, as near as makes no difference. One driver losing places further back. Looks like Lalu losing places. Potentially a fight with Thomas Harvey going on. And Fournier comes into the pits. That might explain some of the chopping and changing at that point in the field. Now here is Maguire's chance. This is where he passed Grankvist before the pit stop. He goes to the left-hand side, he uses the DRS, probably won't even need to use the push to pass here, such is the overspeed, and Adam Maguire retakes the lead of the race, just as he did a couple of laps ago. Max Schluter fights hard with Owen McGorky over 5th position, and they have to settle for those places for now. But Adam is back in the lead, he has the tyre advantage. Can he now stretch his legs?
With the medium compound tyre, it's absolutely possible. He's tempting that 1 second advantage. He has it for now. It could shrink back in the braking zone. Lefania coming up, so it will come down before it goes back up. So Jan will have to push as best as he can, maintaining the tyre life as well in case he wants to go softs at the end for a final push. So yeah, he has that gap over Tom Stevens in the sister THR, and yeah, Matthew Williams, of course, on the long stint. He's going to bottleneck some of these other drivers who are desiring a shot at the podium. So here is Schluter for one example. He's right in McGoggy's gearbox, and of course, watching the mirrors closely will be Williams. Doesn't want to get involved here. Could be a good time to pit. Yes, spot on.
Williams does come into the pits, but that's so close between the two of them. They have never heard of the concept of turbulent air. And here as well comes... It's not... Well, it's Jarl Tyen. So Jarl Tyen getting involved, going up into 5th position. Up the inside. He is not scared at all of making a move into La Source. That's not a move that a lot of people would make here. Now we go up to the Kemmel Straight yet again, separated by about as much as a postage stamp. They're side by side. Carlos Martin on the right hand side, Jarl Tyen on driver's left. Mark Schluter forced to back out, unable to get involved that time around. Tyen goes up into 4th position, and I tell you what, he's in contention for an overall podium here is Jarl Tyen. Toby Davis messaged me before the start of the race. Toby, of course, is team manager at Nocturne, and said, keep an eye on Jarl Tyen. He's racing for us today, and you know Jarl. And yes, indeed, I do. He's a former Grand Prix winner, several-time Grand Prix winner. And boy, can he drive, Owen.
Without a doubt, yeah. It's obviously the case where he's been a infrequent performer in this season's championship, but yeah, he's got so much history in GPVWC. It's wonderful to have him when we can. Certainly back in 2018, that was perhaps his peak. Yeah, he's just he's got that pace when he requires it. So, yeah, this could be one of the red letter days for him if this carries on.
Into the bus stop chicane he goes, already getting away from McGorgy and Schluter, who are still fighting amongst themselves. Up to the start-finish line we go again. Schluter on hard tyres here. You can see the white ringed compound. The white rings, of course, the hard tyres. The yellow rings are the mediums, and the red rings are the softs. Up towards Rayon we go again. There are the tyre compounds in play, and one of the reasons that Tyen was faster than McGorky and Schluter at this point in the race is because he is on medium tyres, as is Tom Stevens, but Schluter and McGorky are still able to fight amongst themselves, and Schluter goes through this time. So Schluter, who dropped behind McGorky in traffic due to getting boxed in a little bit in an unlucky situation, has now got back past Owen McGorgy, putting the TOP Esports drivers back together in 6th and 7th positions. Looks like qualifying pace was promised a bit more for TOP Esports than what they've been able to show in the race so far. Still, as the cliche goes, plenty of time remaining, though. I tell you what, Grankvist has stuck within a second here. He does tend to do this, doesn't he, Jan Grankvist? There have been other times this season where he's made an alternate strategy, a slightly unusual strategy, and yet somehow he's made it work, and he's been just as quick as the drivers on theoretically faster strategies, faster points in the race. He's a bit of a tyre whisperer, remember, at Suzuka. He and Robin Panzer were able to... Well, it wasn't Suzuka, was it? Was it Silverstone, where he and Robin Panzer were able to stay out for almost the entire race on one set of tyres? And win the race as a result of that. We were all waiting for them to make a pit stop and then they just didn't. So what if Jan Granqvist has something like that up his sleeve today? With the pace he's got now, that would make him pretty much unstoppable. Here we go. Eau Rouge, Radiant. He'll open the DRS, he'll stick with Adam Maguire for another lap. And this is seriously impressive stuff from Jan Granqvist, who may have lost the lead of the race, but he knows that it is far from over because he's been in this situation before, he's dealt with it before, and that's how Jan Granqvist is able to win races, because whatever the race throws at him, he just adapts to it and he makes the most of it.
Right, sure. So Ed Hunter once again coming up clutch with the fact checking. Yes, Caitlin, it was Silverstone with the tyres going almost the complete distance. That allowed Jan and Robin to go head to head for the victories. Yeah, that was that amazing performance, but to pull it off again in sunny Spa, now that will be a challenge I'd like to see pulled off.
Yeah, I mean, Silverstone, you wouldn't expect it to be done there because you do have some plenty long straights, and you know, it's a circuit where grip is of the utmost importance with the likes of Stowe, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel, that kind of complex, Copse Corner even, fast corners where you need all the grip that you can get. Spa is a little bit more, I mean, like I described it earlier, point and squirt, where it's, you know, you brake, you accelerate, off you go. But there are also fast downforce necessitating corners such as Pouhon, such as Radiant, such as basically the whole middle sector of the circuit. And so it would be quite a feat if he was able to run the tyres long in this one as well. But he will be able to run them longer than the likes of Adam Maguire. And then of course he'll have faster tyres at the end of the race, because either he'll be able to stick it out for a softer compound than Maguire, or he'll be able to stick it out for longer and put the tyres on later, thus keeping them fresher. And I think Granqvist knows that the real fight with Maguire will be towards the end of the race, after their second stops.
That's right, yeah, the second stop will be so telling as to what our drivers are realistically able to foresee in their last stretch for their races. Yeah, if they can go head to head, then it's a free for all. Best driver on circuit will win, but of course it could be a case where someone gets reeled in if they have been called with a surprise strategy and tyre change call. But at the moment we're looking at Tom Stevens, and he's just solidly getting the job done. He's losing a bit of time, in fairness to Jan. In Sector 1, we'll check out Sector 2 in just a second. Oh no, he's gained it all back, so we should have even, equal performances across this lap from our top contenders. Tyan, of course, still going amazingly well, +9 on his qualifying position. TOP really starting to struggle now. They're not even in the top 5 anymore.
Look at that though, biggest gainer Jeffrey Fournier, and he's not even in the points yet. That shows you just how large this GPWC field is. It's really a depth of field that you don't see anywhere else in R-Factor 2 competition. And I really think it's one of our unique selling points here at GPWC. Here's Matthew Williams fighting with Hygo Poom over 16th place. Hygo recovering after that first lap half spin, which he did so well to keep out of the barriers. And across the line, they're moving ahead of Thomas Harvey, who's in the pits. He was up 9 places, although part of that due to pit stop strategy. Of course, part of Fournier's success so far has been that he started so far down, but not really his fault if he missed qualifying for a reason outside of his control. Sandeep Singh has now passed Owen McGorky. Wow, so Sandeep Singh up into 7th place. We saw how competitive he was in qualifying, but Owen McGorky, who was on the front row of the grid, looked a little bit out of touch. Not anymore, that's for sure, as Matthew Williams does get through on Hygo Poom and takes the provisional final points paying position in P15.
Yeah, very impressive here for Matthew, having briefly led the race. What he'll be able to do now with clear air, we'll have to wait and see. With Lahu about 5 seconds, 4.5 to be more precise, ahead. So yeah, Williams now has the opportunity to push on older tyres. he'll have his work cut out to keep in range. So yeah, great strategy call from Zortax as things stand. Martin trying to keep TOP, give them more to work with here if they can stay within touch of Schluter's homebound Edge Esports car. And yeah, this looks like a better lap for the Spaniard. Let's compare. Yes, yeah, just a tenth separated. Yeah, go ahead, Caitlin.
Sorry, Jan Grankvist is very close to Adam Maguire this time. He was less than 0.4 of a second behind him heading onto this lap. And remember, that's the gap that Maguire had when he made the move on Grankvist. Here we go now. DRS open to the right-hand side down the Kemmel. And that will be another relatively straightforward one. So Grankvist does go through. It's a changing of the guard. Not only does he have the harder tyres, which will run him longer in the race, but he has the track position, having passed Adam Maguire on the road and made that move stick. So Jan Grankvist leads now, followed by the THRs of Maguire and Stevens. And you've got to say, this is very much advantage Grankvist.
Exactly, yeah. He'll now have the control of the race back in his column, as Maguire on the softer compound mediums compared to the hards. He's going to start losing that little bit extra performance. So with Tom Stevens now, look at this. This is a very good lap from him to help his teammate out, or else perhaps there'll be a call from up above to say Tom should be allowed past Adam and see if he can make a difference. Of course, he has one lap fresher tyres. The number 28 does on Stevens' car, so yeah, it is possible that he's maintained his tyres a little bit better and could give THR a bit of flexibility in their shot calling.
So we're exactly halfway through the race now, or I think we're about to complete lap 23 actually, but we were exactly halfway through the race a lap ago, and Jan Grankvist leads by only 0.7 of a second over Maguire and Stevens, who are right together in the THRs. We saw a brief yellow flag a few seconds ago, and unfortunately Dylan Fisher has now joined the retirement list. So 22 cars remain of our 30 starters. And I noticed Dylan Fisher was at the bottom of the timing screen when the yellows came out. Something has happened to the AKA Hero driver. Anyway, there are the top three pretty much together heading down the Kemmel Straight. And there is Carlos Martin side by side with Mark Schluter in a battle that's been continuing pretty much. Well, it wasn't Martin and Schluter fighting before, was it? It was the other TOP esports car of Owen Magorgi, who has now lost a place to Robin Pansar. So Pansar threw into 8th place. I tell you what, I was expecting a bit more from Owen Magorgi today, especially after that qualifying. Whoa, he's sideways. Oh, he's wide. No. Magorgi's run very wide there. This might give Matthias Moos a go. Well, he's not able to make the move stick, but that was a clear mistake from Owen Magorgi, running very wide on in the mid part of the Bruxelles corner because of a massive twitch on the apex, and he's twitching around all over the circuit, isn't he? Had a little twitch through Pouhon, missed the apex there. He's relatively okay through Piff Paff, but yeah, I've got to say, Owen Magorgi here does not look doesn't look comfortable enough to finish in the top 5, let alone 9th place where he is now.
Not at all. This is a deep concern now for Magorgi. I think he is the driver principal, isn't he? So you have to think of something sharpish. So yeah, the fact that Moose and Brashok are both line astern, ready to see what may happen. But we turn now. THR have Stevens. He's going to get the DRS without a doubt on his teammate Maguire. But in fairness to Maguire, he's got the flap open now, so it could be already done dusted. They're going to have a swap and give Stevens the chance to chase Grankvist.
Indeed, so Tom Stevens through into 2nd position now. Schluter and Martin appear to be side by side for 5th as well. Just saw the two swap places, so Schluter back through into 5th place now. But yes, straight swap there for the two THR drivers. And what can Tom Stevens do about Jan Grankvist? Can he challenge? We know as well, I think, if I remember correctly, I think Stevens is also on the medium tyres, just like Maguire. But there is a chance, and he is, yes, there is a chance that he's kept a bit more life in them. So it might end up working in THR's favour here that they've swapped places, because if Tom Stevens can attack, then Grankvist won't be able to get away quite as much as he would have been able to otherwise. Grankvist is feeling the pressure. You saw him slightly touch the gravel on the outside of Campus there. Maintains his position on the road and maintains the lead, but the gap only 0.7 of a second now, Owen. And you've got to say that Tom Stevens will be feeling like a bit of a hunter now.
Yeah, precisely. The fact that he now has the chance to get stuck in and battle for the lead, that'll be hugely rewarding for him. And now it's Brashok going the long way around. McGaughey, I think he's powerless to stop this. And yeah, Adonis have a car in the top 10. Double top 10 now, I should say, with Panzer P8. So yeah, this is wonderful times for the former champions. Back in 2020, I have to be sure of that one. I was there. So yeah, Adonis having their great battles again now that they're double top 10.
There's a little touch as well between Brachuk and McGaughey. I didn't mean to just shout good. I was going to say goodness me, because they were very close, and they're still close on the straight, as are Schluter and Martin, who are still changing places. But we're watching McGaughey versus Brachuk rather. McGaughey reclaims it now. Martin was not able to reclaim the position on Schluter, but McGaughey back into the top 10, hanging on to it for dear life. You got to say that if he wasn't able to, he'd be a bit disappointed to have come back to GPWC after all this time to find himself less competitive and wide on the exit of the Jackie X corner, named after the great Belgian Formula 1 driver Jackie X. And unfortunately for Owen McGaughey, and he's run wide again. He is really struggling here in that TOP Esports car. That car is not set up to his liking.
It's miserable showing here. He just keeps finding the scenery with one of his tires, thankfully not all four. What he's got to do now is come up with something that can get him to the end of the race, and he can actually put in the performance that the car is capable of. And now Brashok just wants that position back for Adonis. Repeat what we saw not too long ago. Exact same procedure, but the counter-attack is on. Maybe Jukka-Pekka Lalu is coming for further TOP despair. Brashok has to push on now. No messing about, as Maguire is in the pits. So he has his chance to go to the end of the race or split a strategy into another half.
Stevens is very close to Maguire. He took a little speculative look there. I don't think he was ever going to lunge it, but he made Jan think, but what if he does? Schluter maintaining his position ahead of Martin there. McGaughey has repassed Brachuk, so it is a complete replay of the last lap. Even the brush of contact they had going up into turn 1 was the same. Now Lalu, did Lalu just pass both of them in one go? I think
he has, yeah. So that's the third time we've seen that on camera with Lahu, and of course
he's running wide
himself.
And Brachuk does go through into P10. So, goodness me, this is, well, not quite a repeat of a lap ago, but McGaughey still continues to twitch about. He is not in control of that car in any way, shape or form through Pont now. But I'd love to see the move that Lalu made, whether he just dragged his way through on the straight or whether it was something a bit more audacious, because he's managed to pass both of them at the same time to get up into 9th position. Meanwhile, with the reduced pressure of Adam Maguire behind, I wonder what's going to happen to the lead battle here between Grankvist and Stevens. They've both stayed out for another lap. They both crossed the line, 0.7 of a second in it, heading up towards the most important part of the track, the long flat-out section between La Source and Lecum. Over 20 seconds of full throttle in total. Not even a lift in Radiant nowadays. Can still catch people out. I remember 2021 championship contender Colin Spork had a big crash there. Sorry, that was 2020 in Superlights, wasn't it? But yeah, can still catch people out. Oh, McGaughey makes his pit stop. And probably about time too, he's saying, because those tyres will be toast. And back onto the track he goes with the slightly less buttery compound. But with that being said, hard tyres still on his wagon as they were a lap ago. Sometimes you do have to wait a little while for the tyre compound to update midway around the lap. Sometimes we find out that the driver was actually on a different compound tyre to the one that it was showing. But I can believe that he's on another set of hards, because that could well take him to the end of the race, providing his car doesn't keep trying to fling him at the scenery. But there goes Owen McGorgy in the TOP Esports car. 16th position in this race now, Owen.
Yeah, at least the only way is up if other drivers are preparing their next tyre change soon. Yeah, that was an absolutely horrendous few laps for McGorgy. Whatever he tried to order the car to do, it just couldn't do it. So at least he can try push on again. Adam Maguire already purple in Sector 2, so this is good news for THR now that they'll get Tom onto a fresh set of tyres. The THRs are rapid today, and they just need to get this pit stop just right, and Stevens could be on his way to a podium.
So there is Tom Stevens in the pits. I'd love to see what tyres he goes on to when we get confirmation of that. Jarl Tyen is also in the pits on Nocturne, and likewise I'd love to see his tyre compound. Alex Lahoe in the pits in the HRT. So 3 cars coming in on that particular lap. The top 5 on hard tyres, not surprising. They're the cars that can run a bit longer, including the race leader Jan Grankvist. And Matthew Williams pitted. So there are the tyres that they're on. Stevens medium, Maguire hard. So THR splitting their strategy here, not putting their eggs in one basket. That's interesting. Stevens comes out ahead of Maguire, where he was before, but only just. And Jarl Tyen is on the medium tyres as well. No, he's not. It's just updated itself. He's on the hard tyres. And I think the most telling thing there is from Tom Stevens, because I think the logic there is that if they both went onto hard tyres, they would almost definitely both come out behind Jan Grankvist, or at least close enough to him that he could attack. The logic now is if Tom Stevens can push and get ahead of Jan when Jan makes his pit stop, kind of jump him in the pits, undercut him, then he'll be able to fight with him and bring Adam Maguire back into the equation, and they might still be able to get a 1-2, but I think really it's just a split strategy to see what works there for THR. They haven't got much to lose. I say that, they've actually got quite a lot to lose, come to think of it. There's Jarl Tyen around the outside of Vincent Gutt. Good move. Drivers are not scared of making those outside manoeuvres at Blanchimont, are they? And that's good to see. And Schluter and Moose also pit this time around. And there is Janos Bratschock now between Lalu and Stevens. Stevens not far behind him. Should come through when he catches him, Owen.
That's right. It is a routine chance to get the DRS boost. Straight down the inside he'll go. And it is a case that Lalu has to back out and let the move be completed. So Bratschock really calmly done there. Didn't need to overexert himself, and that was smoothly done.
And Janos says, "Vamos, through I go," up into 5th position. Of course, probably still owes us another pit stop, but we are at that point in the race where we've got to include the asterisk that no driver now still technically owes us a pit stop according to the regulations. If you have switched onto an alternate set of tyres, which I believe, or an alternate compound of tyres, which I believe everyone has done, then you don't technically have to make another stop, although it is advisable to do so if you pitted so early that your tyres are going to be going off, as we've seen from Owen McGorgy sliding around towards the end of his stint. Stevens now has got to get through Lalu and Bratschock as quickly as possible. This is not a good place on the track to catch them, because it's very difficult to pass into Blanchimont, and then you've got to decide which way to go into the bus stop or whether to stick behind and attempt it in the DRS. And he does go right around the outside of Jukka-Pekka Lalu. Nicely done. Gets the grip. Adam Maguire is going to try to follow him through now. And Stevens pushes on. He will have to pass Janos Bracchok in just a few moments' time. And of course, the aim is still to undercut Jan Grankvist and hold that lead of the race. Here's Adam Maguire up through Blanchimont. Blanchimont? Radion. Wrong side, I'm afraid to say. DRS open, but then again, Lalu has it as well from the cars in front, side by side between Stevens and Bracchok. Steven gets P5. Maguire a little bit of contact, little touch, and they just about get away with it. That was nearly a big problem in its own right. Jukka-Pekka Lalu saves the slide. And
the concern there, Caitlin, would have been if the tyres locked for longer. Thank goodness for both of them. They survived the corner and didn't have to. You can see Lalu, his car just bounced out of the connection between the two tyres. So if they had have locked in together, that would have been two cars into the barriers, I'm afraid. So that did not happen. But Lalu, he'll just have to get on with it. At least there was no one in behind to take advantage of that, so he can't just dust himself down and try again.
Yeah, just like Silverstone, of course, we had two cars locking tyres together in Luffield, and it seemed to take them an age to get themselves free and back in the race. But luckily, these two drivers a little bit more wary, heads-up driving to continue pointing in the right direction. Sandeep Singh here chasing down Robin Pansa into La Source, up towards the slipstreaming zone. Grankvist leads the race by 8.6 seconds over Carlos Martin as we approach the final quarter of this race. We're nearly there, just 2 laps to go until we're 3/4 of the way in. Sandeep Singh slipstreams his way closer to Robin Pansa. They are 4th and 3rd respectively. Tom Stevens is 5th, fighting his way through the order on medium tyres. Janos Bracchok 6th. Adam Maguire is 7th. Jarl Tyen is 8th. Jukka-Pekka Lalu 9th.
Yeah, that's an overtake for position, Caitlin. Tyen gained 4 seconds on Lalu that last lap. So
you're right.
Genuinely for position. Tyen through. Matthew Williams, he wanted a few points out of this race. He's just overtaken Thomas Harvey, so he's 1 position away from a championship point. But it's a 3-second deficit for him against Alex Lahou. So yeah, dramatic lap as Lalu's momentum has vanished on him. He'll have to figure out what to do quickly, or else Schluter is going to catch him very soon.
Yeah, so the last points paying positions, Schluter is 10th. Then it's Vincent Gutt, Jeffrey Fournier, Matthias Moos, Owen McGorgy still in just 14th position, just clinging on. And then it's Alex Lahou in 15th place. Here is Mark Schluter on the back of Jukka-Pekka Lalu. Oh, all over his tail. Goes to the driver's left. Outside of the bus stop, brakes much later than Lalu, who knew he couldn't contend. And Schluter goes through. Carlos Martin into the pits now. Brief yellow flag. Hopefully everyone's okay out there. I think Thomas Harvey's dropping places. Martin rejoins from his track, and Harvey is out. So whatever happened to Thomas Harvey, I'm afraid that is the end of the race for the Pescara ADG driver, and as a result, the Pescara ADG team, because Masculi was out earlier. Here's Maguire on Bracchok. Through into provisional 5th position now. Yeah, this is definitely the stage in the race where we have to start wondering who is actually planning to make a stop, because the likes of Robin Pansa, who's 2nd, we know that he likes this kind of strategy. This is how he did so well at Silverstone. And here is a replay of Thomas Harvey. Out over the curb, big twitch, bang into the barriers. Heavy front end impact and stops the car in the gravel. So 21 cars now remaining out of the 30 that started. We're nearly up to a 1/3 retirement rate in this race. And it really does show that no matter how badly your race is going, you've got to keep going just in case. And I'm sure that's what Owen McGorky's thinking to himself. Even though he's not in contention for the Drivers' Championship, TOP is in contention for the Teams' Championship. So he's just got to keep going, got to keep the points coming in no matter what. And here is Stevens on Sandeep Singh. This is important with how competitive Singh's been today. Stevens around the outside, good move into the pits. Come both Grankvist and Pansar. They will both clear out of the way. Now where will Stevens be in relation to Jan Grankvist? This is what we've been waiting to see.
Jan's going to be held for a while, yeah.
So Tom Stevens easily leads the race, and Maguire's gone through as well. Tyen's gone through on Grankvist. Mark Schluter might jump him. Not quite, not quite. So Grankvist has got to make time up on both of the THRs, and he's going to have to pass them on track. That's really interesting, actually. I didn't expect him to lose quite so much time. I thought he'd be maybe 2 or 3 seconds behind. I didn't expect him to be 7 seconds back. Is this a problem here for Jan Grankvist, who has just passed Jarl Tyen for 5th position?
No, I don't think it's a massive problem, to be honest. He had a decent cushion, and he felt it's the right time to go for a glory run on the softs, so maybe he just needed to take his time in the pits, not cost himself a penalty, or perhaps brake too late or anything like that. So I think he just played a bit cautiously, and now he has his chance to burn through these soft tyres and get positions. He's got Tyen to start. That's Janos Brashok next in line. That should be the bus stop chicane. I think that should be the target corner. He's just reeling him in bit by bit. So Adonis have to be on the communications with their Hungarian driver to say, look, faster car behind. Yeah, he's actually going to do it before Blanchimont, Caitlin.
I'm afraid I zoned out for a second there. As you see, Grankvist does make the move on the outside of Brachuk. But did you mention that Grankvist is on the red-walled, soft compounded tyre?
Yeah, this is a glory run. He's got to push everything he's got. If he can't possibly direct those hard tyres to the end, I know it was plausible. The chat certainly felt it was something he could have been brewing up, but now he's on the softs and he's got to overtake the THRs genuinely on track to win this race again.
Yep, Sandeep Singh pitted that last lap, as did Jukka-Pekka Lalu. That means that the top 3 on track are the fight for the win in the final 10 laps. Jan Grankvist still, yeah, to be honest, he's nowhere near as far back as I thought that he was after the pit stages. He's got through that very quickly. Jarl Tyen now goes up to 4th ahead of Janos Brachuk. But yeah, this reminds me of those classic Jan Grankvist glory runs, like at Saudi Arabia earlier this year, like at, of course, Suzuka last year, which I hate to keep bringing up because it wasn't Grankvist's best finishing result, but it was one of the most exciting races that I've ever commentated still. And Grankvist is already on the back of Adam Maguire. That's how hard he's been charging. But Maguire has actually dropped a little way off Stevens on this lap. Do you think... I mean, I hate to imply that there's team orders between the two of them, but do you think Maguire might be trying to hold up Grankvist as early as he can to see if he can make the Super Venturi car make the Super Venturi car fight him for as long as possible? That would be an interesting strategy here. It could also be just that Stevens is quicker because he is on the softer tyre. So this is interesting. Between the top 3 we have soft, medium and hard. And Grankvist is right on the tail of Maguire. I think he could have gone for a move into that chicane if he'd wanted to. Schluter just got Brachuk for 5th place. But I think he wants to set him up for the straight. I think that is his plan here. Out of La Source he goes. And he's got to make this stick quickly because he's 7 seconds back from Tom Stevens. That will be his real target, the win of this race, and he'll have 9 laps to do it. Jan Grankvist up through Radion has got to make this move cleanly and quickly. He'll be using any of the push to pass he still has. Might not need that much of it. He's definitely got an overspeed on the straight. And Maguire keeps his nose in. Of course he would. That was to be expected, but Grankvist does make the move stick, does go up into 2nd position, and the lead of the race is separated by 7 seconds now. Stevens over Grankvist as Sandeep Singh passes Matthias Moos for P9.
Yeah, it's Jan with a plan now. He has job 1 in the books, passing former champion Adam Maguire for position there to get second place back. And yeah, Tom Stevens has to put everything he's got into those medium tyres to secure victory here. But Jan in glittering form. He's really going to make this a sensational ending. So let's monitor those lap times as best we can. Of course, Pansar and Singh have both shown excellent pace as well for Adonis and Epic respectively. So yeah, these soft tyres so far so good, but of course later on in the stint they could start to burn up.
But of course 7 seconds in 9 laps is not easy, especially when your opponent is the awesome Tom Stevens, the driver who finished second in last year's championship, who came into this year pretty much as the favourite depending on who you asked. And Tom Stevens, well, I tell you what, Grankvist's last lap was pretty darn good. There's now under 6 seconds between the two of them. I'm afraid I did accidentally close my live timing earlier while I was sneezing, but yeah, here we are on board with Jarl Tyen as well. Tyen has caught Maguire. So even though I said that the battle for the top 3 was between THR and Grankvist, it really isn't, because look at Jarl Tyen now going up the inside, passing his sister car. Jarl Tyen is third now. Well done.
Yeah, and this looks to be Nocturne's first shot at a podium this year. Moritz Kropp got them 4th in San Marino, but they've never actually tasted any champagne. In 2024, of course, Adam's former team getting the last laugh on him. So yeah, 2024 not as successful as 2023 thus far in terms of the trophy cabinet, but now they've got another veteran helping them out with great skills as of right now.
Toby Davis has just sent me 2 upwards pointing arrows pointing to his previous statement about how to keep an eye on Jarl Tyen, and to be honest, I think he has underlined his point pretty well. Like I said earlier, the proof is in the pudding. Jarl Tyen is flying out there. Tyen is flying, very good. And could still, well, I'm not sure he's going to have much chance of catching the 2 drivers up in front of him who are fighting for the win amongst themselves, but whatever the case, Jarl Tyen has done a wonderful job today. Pretty quiet race actually, aside from the lunges that we saw him pulling earlier into La Source. But by flying under the radar, he's got himself into a podium position. Is Mark Schluter now running 5th, catching Maguire, who just doesn't have the legs in this last stint. I wonder if he'll regret going onto hard tyres for the final stint of the race. I think mediums probably would have sorted him better, but we don't know how they felt to him. Here comes Schluter now with the slipstream from Tyen up in front, but that's not enough. Not quite enough to get him up alongside Maguire, not quite enough to let him through.
Oh no, contact!
They're both off the road. Schluter's spinning into the barriers. Well, he'll keep it going. It was only a light brush. He loses a place to Bratchok, who's in 5th place. And I'm afraid to say, Schluter only has himself to blame for that one. He had to give that place back to Maguire, because you can't run over the escape road and then maintain the position. And he should have given it back pretty much straight away. He didn't. Maguire expected him to. And unfortunately, that was only going to end in contact. And they're very lucky to both be still in the race here. That could have ended so much worse. It does mean, of course, that Janos Bratchok now stands a chance of finishing in 4th place. So wouldn't that be quite something for the Adonis engineering driver? With just under 7 laps to go in this race now.
Yeah, this is some going here. Bratchok has definitely shown a lot of promise this season. 4th. That was in China, and he got a top 5 as well just last month in Britain. So if he can get another shot at a top 5, that would be excellent. And of course he will want his first podium at some point. Yeah, Schluter, yeah, his decision to not necessarily, well, I don't blame him for not braking. Of course, you shouldn't really slow yourself down that much, but yeah, he just stayed high on the curve. So Adam thought he was clear and he could push on, so that's how the contact was made. Yeah, Schluter is back to full pace, but in the background there, that should be Carlos Martin. Has he got the double move done? So yet another catalogue of success here. They come. No, not exactly, but yeah, he'll still be very pleased to make that gain. So it takes Francorchamps momentum away just a bit.
Yeah, good move from Martin there. If you'd made the double overtake work, that would have been one of the moves of the season. Although we saw a good deal of double overtakes at the last round at Hockenheim. And getting absolutely tag teamed there is... well, that's a lapped car. No, it's Vincent Gutt. So Vincent Gutt there in 16th position. Dropping behind, dropping out of the top 15. That's a change of team for Vincent Gutt, isn't it? Because Virtual Drivers by TX3 in the past, he was running for Adonis, wasn't he? The last couple of rounds, Vincent Gutt, unless I'm very much mistaken. But anyway, sorry, what was that? Epic Racing, yeah, no, that does make sense.
That's correct. Yeah.
Bit of a free agent is Vincent Gutt, but very much enjoys his time on the racetrack, and he's reliable, he's consistent. Might just about miss out on points today as he did last time. He did score points in Silverstone. Anyway, Jan Grankvist's gap to Tom Stevens is down to 2.5 seconds with 5 laps. Well, 6 laps remaining because the last lap counts, of course. So 6 laps remaining in this race. And that means, of course, that he is well and truly on course to catch Tom Stevens before the end of this one. This is hugely exciting. But as they always say, catching is one thing and passing is another. This shouldn't be too difficult, though, this pass we're seeing, because Panzer is passing his own teammate, Janos Brachok, and you can't imagine his teammate holding him up too much. Martin now is up into 5th position ahead of Mark Schluter and chasing down Adam Maguire up ahead, who continues to lose time. So Martin, who dropped back when TOP lost their pace, is getting himself back into it. Here's Matthew Williams now fighting with Vincent Gutt. So Gutt has now got himself back into the points paying positions. Williams sticks his nose in. They do well to see each other there. And Vincent Gutt maintains the place in the half and half, rather vibrant looking Virtual Drivers by TX3 car. And here's Carlos Martin on the back of Adam Maguire now as Grankvist gets the gap to under 2 seconds from the rear of Tom Stevens' car. Remember that 1 second is the DRS buffer. When he gets below a second, he will be able to open the DRS on the straights. Now we see if he has the tyre life to pass Tom Stevens, if he has any push to pass left. What has Stevens left in his tank? Does he still have the tyre life to fend him off? GPVWC really does have a habit of throwing up races like this. Races that separate out and then come back together towards the end. It really is a staple of this championship. And more often than not, it tends to be between Tom Stevens, Jan Grankvist, and a selection of other usual suspects. And this time Carlos Martin will get himself up into 4th place, going through on Adam Maguire on the straight. And Maguire will tuck back into the slipstream, but will not be able to challenge. In the background was that Singh going side by side with Brachok, Singh getting 8th place. So Brachok, who I said was fighting for 4th place a little while ago, unfortunately is now down to 9th position. Although I think, is he on a 1 stop? I think he's only stopped once, hasn't he? So I think that would probably explain it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 1 stopper.
Fair enough. Well, he had to have a go. Well done to him for doing so. And there is Jan Grankvist, sparks flying from underneath the championship leader's car. Super Jan will be playing in the heads of anyone who's heard it now, as he approaches Tom Stevens, approaches that all-important 1 second buffer. They have 8 seconds to spare over Jarl Tyne in 3rd position. But keep it clean, guys. Unfortunately, in the academy race, there was a collision on the final lap between the leaders. In fact, there were 2 separate collisions between 2 separate groups of leaders on the same final lap. It was pretty disastrous, actually.
It was. Tell me about it. Oh dear, I felt so sorry for the group of drivers.
Wasn't it the person who started the last lap in 5th who ended up winning it?
Yeah, Shimon. Yeah,
But
luck for him. Yeah, he did a good job.
Obviously, we wouldn't wish that on anyone here. We want to see a nice, clean race to the end, but we don't want to see it end. Robin Pansar here, last year's winner, started the race 11th. He's also on soft tyres, look, and he's got himself into the top 10, and they're going 3 wide with Adam Maguire and Mark Schluter. And he threads the needle, goes to the right side of one and the left side of the other. There's a little bit of contact, and he runs over the escape road. He will have to give that up, whether he feels that he was fouled by the contact or not. I don't know if he'll see it that way, though.
He'll definitely protest that. He has a chance to put up his hand and say, I had track position into the braking zone. So yeah, it was side by side, but he had 2 wheels in front. That's a fact for Pansar. He had 2 wheels in front, so he may be able to defend himself in the court of race direction and keep that position after all. But yeah, it's not a case where he was gaining an unfair advantage. It was
yellow
close.
flags, and it's Alex Lahoe. I'm afraid we're about to see Alex Lahoe retiring from the race. He was fighting with Jeffrey Fournier. Is there going to be contact into the braking zone? Well, there's the contact.
Yeah. Oh, the wheel goes off.
And they'll both be out with that one. They will both be out of the race with a heavy impact into the wall. There were wheels flying before they even made it to the barriers. And that is a double DNF from inside the points paying position. So that puts Williams and Poom back up into the points. Only 19 drivers remain from the 30 who started. We have over a 1/3 retirement rate here. And well, I've just noticed it's been a bit of a bad day for Green Stripes. They're 18th and 19th in this race. Not the strongest team in GPVWC Super League, but they'll be disappointed with that, I think. But here is Jan Grankvist now, not just within DRS range of Tom Stevens, but at one point on the straight, he was within half a second with 3 laps to go. This is getting very exciting here at the end of the 2024 GPVWC Super League Belgium Grand Prix. Out through Jackie Ick's corner they go. Jan Grankvist needs to time this right, needs to make his run when Stevens won't have anything to defend him with. And you've got to say, he's probably only going to get 2 more chances, isn't he? Because there aren't really many more chances down here. There's potentially the bus stop chicane, but you've got to be really careful through there. And he'll be wise to it if it's the last lap of the race. Who is going to come out on top between Tom Stevens and Jan Grankvist? Leave your predictions in the YouTube comments, because I think at this point it's 50-50, or maybe 49-49-2, with the 2 being an unfortunate collision between the pair of them. I do trust them not to do so, but here we go. Onto the penultimate lap of the race.
Yeah, we definitely have at least one member in the Grankvist fan club rooting on the Super Swede to try and get this crucial victory to keep his winning streak alive. This is his first of 2 chances now. Will he be able to take it? So I've made the same mistake now. Radillon got to get it absolutely flat out after Eau Rouge to see what he's capable of. So yeah, DRS coming now, Caitlin. Let's see what he's got.
Yeah, but he's 7/10 back. I don't know if he's close enough. You'll see him getting closer. He might just have one more opportunity. He's definitely not close enough for a pass this time around. Wow, could we see a final lap showdown here? Yet again in GPVWC Super League, it's fair to say. We keep seeing situations like this arising. And like I said earlier, they more often than not involve Jan Grankvist. Here's Adam Maguire with Sandeep Singh. Maguire will be kicking himself with how this final stint's gone. Sandeep Singh has been very, very consistent throughout the race. And I think we'll be proud of this one, even though he's down 1 place from his starting position. The biggest gainer in this race is Jarl Tyne, up 10 places from his starting position in 13th. The unfortunate biggest losers are, of course, all of the DNFs, but in terms of the drivers still running, it's Owen McGorgy down 10. Tom Stevens, of course, started 5th. If he wins from 5th position, it won't be entirely unusual, actually, because I always go into these races saying that any one of a number of drivers could win it. And it seems like every week in GPWC, we're talking about one of the closest finishes that we've ever seen. On to the final lap of the race we go. Just 6/10, 5/10 separates the top 2 Jan Grankvist has DRS on the pit straight. He'll have DRS going down the Camel straight. What will happen here? We have a final lap showdown yet again in GPWC Super League. Up through Eau Rouge Radion they go. 5.5 tenths of a second separates the two of them. They'll both be using everything they've got left. Any push to pass. DRS is open on the back of Jan Grankvist's car. They go side by side on the final lap in Belgium. They touch. Grankvist runs wide. Who gets it? Stevens maintains the lead. Grankvist is forced to run over the escape road and give the place up. That might be his last opportunity down the drain. He may still be able to go for a lunge into the bus stop. Stevens will be wise to it. I think Tom Stevens has got it. But what drama we have here yet again in GPVWC Super League. Owen, what do you make of that?
Oh, it's a huge moment in our championship. THR, they really want to get moving again. They've been getting so close and yet so far in recent rounds after winning the Spanish Grand Prix with Mr. Stevens. He's so close now, just has to survive. One more heartbreaking zone and then the dash to the line to get himself more champagne and get THR closer than ever to Super Venturi. Go ahead.
3 tenths per second between the two of them. Grankvist is going for it again. He goes to the left. They'll be side by side into the bus stop on the last lap. He brakes later. He'll have the inside line. They rub wheels again. Who's it going to be? It's a drag race to the line. And it's Tom Stevens by 1/10 of a second. That could be the closest finish in GPWC Super League in at least a decade. Stevens spins the car on the exit turn 1. I tell you what, he might get into trouble for that actually. He got a warning at the end of the last race for parking his car up too early after the race. There are rules about how far around you have to make it on the cool down lap, but he's kept it going. I think that must have just been a pure driving mistake in his excitement. But whatever the case, amazing finish for GPWC Super League. Tom Stevens won the race by 1/10 of a second as they rubbed wheels, they brushed their way to the line, and somehow didn't end up in a million pieces by the side of the road. And talking of that, there seemed to be a million pieces by the side of the road at the top of Radion there, so I don't know who that was or how that's happened. I think it probably happened after the race. It might have been Grankvist, but anyway. What a race! Oh my goodness, Owen. I have never seen anything like that, except for when Grankvist attempted that in Suzuka last year and didn't make it stick. But oh my goodness, Tom Stevens should be over the moon. That is one of his best victories in GPWC up to date. It won't make the championship much closer, I'm afraid to say, because unfortunately there was 70 points separating Grankvist and Schluter coming into this round. 79 points separating him and Tom Stevens. There's only a 5-point swing for taking first compared to second. So I'm afraid to say the championship still looks pretty one-sided, but at least the likes of Tom Stevens can stick it to the big guns still and prove that he is one of the big guns still. Despite all of this time, despite all of this drama, Tom Stevens is still a force to be reckoned with and is still more than capable of winning Grand Prix here. I'm just quickly trying to find out who got the fastest lap in that race. It would have been a low 144. It was a 144.342 from Vincent Gutt, who finished in 13th place, and he will get a point for that because you get a point if you finish in the top 15 with the fastest lap of the race. And according to my timing screen, the official winning margin was 0.111 exactly between Tom Stevens and Jan Grankvist, and that is exactly what Tom Stevens did. He won after all of that drama. Tom Stevens wins, Grankvist is second, Yartayan third from 13th on the grid, so hats off to Yartayan. Carlos Martin 4th, Mark Schluter 5th, Robin Pansar 6th, Sandeep Singh 7th, then it's Adam Maguire, Janos Bratchok and Matthias Moos. The second slate will show us Jakub Ekalalu, Owen Magorgi from second on the grid. Terrible race for Magorgi. Vincent Gutt 13th, good job to finish with the fastest lap. Matthew Williams P14, Heiko Poon P13, and then missing out on points were Tomasz Wok, Philip Puschke, Stein Hangraf and Janssen Bintz. and then of course the 11 drivers who retired from the race. Ooh, utter drama here, Owen. I know I've used that word way too much, but what a finish that was. And make sure you stick around because we will be talking to some of the drivers involved in that. I've just been updated actually. Ed Hunter says that Stein Handgraf set the fastest lap, so my apologies. I'm just going to double check that on the timing screen. He did. Oh, I missed that. Okay, he set the fastest lap by less than 1/10 of a second, but he did indeed grab it. So Stein Handgraf takes the fastest lap, but misses out on a point because he was not within the top 15. So nobody will will get a point for fastest lap, as is usually the case with GPWC for some reason. But anyway, so it's interview time, and we can talk to probably a rather breathless Tom Stevens. Tom, you robbed your way to the line, wheel to wheel with Owen McGorgy. That is one of the greatest finishes that I've ever seen in GPWC Super League. And what a way to do it. You are the winner. How do you feel, my man?
Oh, wow. With Owen, that's a bit of a throwback to 2022, eh? But yeah, I am pretty speechless right now. Right. Yeah, that was incredible. Battle with Jan was insane through the race. Really didn't know what to expect, especially with him staying out for so long, but it came right down to the wire. A bit like Hamilton and Russell this year at Spa. I'm just really happy. The amount of prep we put in for this one is extraordinary, and I'm glad we found something. So I've got to give huge thanks to Jarl, Adam, Toby and Chris and Moritz, everyone at THR for this one, because we have a great package going forwards.
Absolutely. Now, that was quite a strategic race as well. I was quite perplexed by the fact that you and Adam seem to prefer different tyre compounds, with you being on the mediums, Adam on the hards. Worked out a bit better for you. How was your strategy? How did you come to your strategy, and do you think this is the best that you could have done?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm 100% that this strat was the right thing to do. I tested it the last few days. I mean, sort of formed the setup around it, and it delivered brilliantly. Like for me, the hards, there was no question about it. So the medium just felt amazing all the way through the stint. There wasn't too much of a drop off. So that was always going to be the race tyre for me.
Now, talk us through that closing stage, because Jan was catching you fast, and for it to all come to a head on the final lap like that, how do you keep your nerve in situations like that? And also, was it all fair? Because we did see some contact.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely a very anxious thing when you see your rival. He's done a massive overcut. He's on a softer tyre, fresher tyres as well. And he comes out behind you, and then you've got Toby on the radio going, oh yeah, 6 seconds behind. It's going to be close. And that's never a good thing when he says that. But it just means get your head down, keep going. And that's all I could do. I knew that Jan's tyres were going to eventually fade away. So I knew I had some chance. I thought he was going to catch earlier. Fortunately, he didn't. But I knew I always had a chance at the end, even if he did catch me earlier or not. And yeah, there was some quite close battle in there. Can't really comment too much on it. I haven't seen it back yet, but I think it's all fair from my side. So yeah.
And I know that the championship is probably not on your mind after all of that, especially with the massive lead that Crankfist has got. But you are back up to second in the championship now. That's got to be another little box ticked off with that one.
Yeah, I'm not really focused on the drivers too much this year. We've had a bit of a rough season compared to last year. Last year we just hopped straight in and it went very swimmingly, consistently. This year we've taken a bit longer to get to grips with this car. We've had a bit of bad luck as well. But now we're definitely going to continue this momentum forwards. And for me personally, I want to retain that team's championship. So that's the ultimate goal going forwards.
Absolutely. Very wise, very noble of you. And with performances like today, I'm sure that you can fight for that right to the end. So congratulations, Tom, your second victory of the season, and you move up to second in the driver's standings.
Thank you very much.
So that was the victorious Tom Stevens, and we can talk to the defeated foe, but that is, I'm saying that in the kindest possible terms, because he gave us quite a show today and gave it his all. Jan Grankvist joins us in the commentary booth. Jan, how much breath have you got left after that one?
Less than normal, because, I'm racing, how should I say, for a change with full force feedback, so, I'm a bit out of breath.
All force feedback. How much of a change is that from your normal setup?
Let's say double. I
Good lord.
normally ran like 12 Newton meters, and now I'm full 25.
So why have you done that? Just as a challenge, or?
Not really. Actually, I was recommended this in FSR first, and it actually works pretty well. It's funny that at first it felt like it was way too much, but then once you get used to it, it's actually quite nice.
Well, with how your season's gone so far, I'd have been tempted to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's never a moment where you can't experiment at least a little.
Fascinating. Well, thanks for letting us in on that that little insight there. As for today's race, you were clearly the faster driver coming up towards the end. You were pushing on those softs. How was it, and what eventually led to you just about falling short?
Well, quite a lot of things I could say as, excuses as to why I didn't win. But, I mean, legitimate reason, I'd say THR did a fantastic job this time. I mean, I wasn't expecting such good race pace. Usually it's been the other way around, and we've had the upper hand on strategy. But, I mean, THR just beat us pretty simple. But on the other hand, it also came down to some, I'd say, with the way we approached with prep, I don't know what happened, but coming into the race, the feeling of the car was entirely different, and there was actually quite a bit of time on the table in qualifying for us, and that carried over a bit to the race. The car was really understeery, and that seemed to really hamper us on our soft stints, which weren't usually as slow as they were on this race. But yeah, that's the main gist of it.
Now, on that last lap, sorry, you rubbed wheels at least 3 times. Is it all good between you and Tom? Was that all clean?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's what happens in racing every now and then. I might have a look at it a bit later on, but yeah, I don't have any hard feelings of that. It might even be my fault. I have no idea whether I actually turned in just way too early into Tom, and yeah, I mean, we'll sort it out. I don't think there's any bad blood between us two in this season. So yeah, fair and good racing, and I mean the final corner was also pretty fun trying to outbrake him and just having enough space for both of us. We did tangle just a little bit, but I think both of us are pleased that we survived, and the gap was 1/10.
Absolutely. I had no idea when you exited that final corner who would get to the line first. It was a complete drag race. But in the end, Tom just about had the legs. Whatever the case, though, Jan, you still have a sizable championship lead, and you really did put on a good show today. So congratulations on yet another strong performance. And yeah, best of luck. Not that you need it going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you very much. On another note, this was actually my first pole of the season as well.
Good thought. Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's a funny stat that I've had.
Talk us through that then. How does so obviously pole position at Spa, it was very close between you and the TOPs. Did anything feel different today, or was it just you had the right setup, right place, right time, you were the fastest?
Well, that was the funny thing. Is I thought the car felt awful going into the official server. Jumping from where we normally practice, the car was just entirely different. It felt like a completely different car. So I don't quite understand how I got pole this time. It's ironic that I get pole on a track where I felt that I've done the worst in qualifying, but that's just how it goes.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for talking to us, Jan. I had no idea that was your first pole position. Well done. Yeah, and we will speak to you. I'm sure we'll speak to you when you inevitably end up on the podium next time.
All right, thank you very much, and see you then.
I'm very glad you didn't just tell me off for putting a curse on him, but there you go. There's commentators for you. Okie dokie. So we've spoken to first and we've spoken to second, but one of the standout performers of today was third place, Jarl Tyen. Jarl, do you hear us?
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, Jarl, third place from 13th on the grid. That was pretty darn competitive there. You really raced well. How did that feel?
It felt great. I expected definitely an improvement in the race, but obviously P3 was way out of the range what I thought was what was possible. But that was a lot of fun and a lot of clean racing in the middle field.
Now, Toby Davis messaged me before the start of this race and said, keep an eye on Jarl Tyen. And when you moved up into third place, said, I told you so. Tom Stevens as well thanked you after winning the race. Specifically said, I'll have to say thank you to Jarl Tyen. Clearly, you've got quite a tight-knit team around you. How important is that, and how do you guys actually work together?
Yeah, so our method is I've been using Adam and Tom for many runs, and I've been doing the engineering bit for making the setups, and obviously they have a big knowledge, a wide range of knowledge as well. But I think I have the let's say the dedication to do a bit more clicking that you usually won't do on a regular test session, and we were able to find a lot of speed in race trim. And as you saw, Tom was very competitive, and I also had good long run speed. Adam sadly ran a slightly different setup to us, and it helped him in qualifying, but it hurt him in the race, and sadly he fell down. But other than that, yeah, the setup was very strong.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us about that. Jarl, we know you've been a little bit on and off this season with just 5 outings. Are you expecting to race in any more races, maybe the next one?
I am still figuring out my schedule for the rest of the season. I have other commitments and other things that might hinder me from doing. I work Thursday nights essentially, so for me to do these races, I need to plan that way ahead of time. But I have a soft spot for Super League, and I really enjoy the series, so I would definitely like to continue.
Well, I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you so much, Jarl, and congratulations on a very well-deserved podium.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right, Owen, I've kind of neglected you here, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
I've had
very well.
I've had way too much to say, I'm afraid. But we do have quite a few people waiting for an interview here, and we probably only have time for one more. Who would you like us to talk to next?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I suppose Mark Schluter has plenty to say about that collision with Adam. If you want a little bit of spice, it's certainly
well, here is Mark Schluter. Owen, would you like to lead the way then?
Sure thing. Mark, yeah, the controversy there with Adam Maguire down Lake Com. I don't think it will go away anytime soon. So do you mind telling us from your point of view what happened?
I think first he outbroke himself. I had to go straight, otherwise we would touch. And yeah, then when I tried to let him back pass because I was having an advantage, I think he just drove me off the road for some reason. I don't know what happened there. And then even on the gravel, he nearly put me into the wall. I don't know what was in his mind there. I don't want to go any further because I don't want to have bad words here. But yeah, maybe he should consider how he goes into wheel-to-wheel situations in the second half of the season, because I think this is just unacceptable what he's doing. He has 3 laps, older tires, is clearly struggling, and he just goes in with a head bash, tries to defend his position like at all costs, and yeah, just very unfortunate. Nearly cost. I think it cost me the shot at the podium against Zeeuw.
Yeah, it was definitely a close run thing, but still was, and one way to look at it is the team still gets plenty of points for the 5th place that you did get, so that is crucial for Edge and their ability to finish as well as possible.
Yeah, I mean, this after quali it was damage limitation either way. The first stint was super good. I got up into P5 or P4. But then I think I should have gone in with Jan to the undercut. I was stuck in traffic then and lost like 5 to 6 seconds to Jan there. I think one lap earlier, and I could have fighted with Tom and him for the win.
Caitlin, any thoughts on your end, or?
Well, Mark, You're clearly very competitive still, and very, very fast. How are you feeling about some of the races coming up on the calendar after the break?
Yeah, Monza should be slipstream heaven. Last year didn't go so good. I hope it can be better this year. And yeah, I don't know how the other tracks are going to be for me, but I think shouldn't be an issue there if we just do good setup work and yeah, get the lap together like we did in Hockenheim and not start P10.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for talking to us, Mark, and well done on your points finish. I'm sure that you will do better next time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so I think that's all we've got time for today, I'm afraid. But thank you for doing that, Owen, and thank you for joining me today, stepping in last minute to replace Ryan, who couldn't be here. It's been a pretty exciting one. How are you gonna relax after this?
Well, yeah, I have a week off work coming up, so I've been eager to get that for quite a while. So I'll enjoy that as best I can. As I said, the football took over my last 3 or 4 weeks, and I owed you a favour, so I'm glad I was able to repay it for you today, Caitlin. So I really appreciate what you did for me in FS1. So yeah, I'd say lots of late summer enjoyments. There'll be the Paralympics coming up. I'll definitely enjoy some of that as well. So yeah, hopefully the end of August will be nice and enjoyable for me.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for doing this. I'd also like to say thank you to Remco de Zeeuw for doing the cameras today. Of course, we sometimes have Vincent Gutt doing it. The last few races I've been saying we normally have Vincent Gutt, but he's done 3 races in a row now, so I don't know what's going on with that. But I'm glad to see that he did well today as well. But Remco also did well on the cameras, and we couldn't bring a broadcast to you without dedicated broadcast personnel. If today's action got you itching for more GPVWC Super League, then I'm afraid you are not in luck. We are now heading into a 1-month summer break for GPVWC Super League. The next race is not until the 12th of September. So after they've got us all excited for Monza, I'm afraid it's simply not happening for a long time. It does mean, of course, that we will have that to look forward to. And by the time we get back to Monza, it'll be like opening a box of frogs. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens as a result of that. But yeah, in the meantime, make sure you keep an eye out. If sometimes there are academy races that pop up. Of course, on the lead up to the Italian Grand Prix, we will have the standard support categories such as Formula Sprint 2, Formula Sprint 1, and Super Lights. And then, of course, we will be back on the 12th of September for the long-awaited Italian Grand Prix. Thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.